It was all just one big misunderstanding. The FBI taking Donald Trump's passports, it was an accident. And the DOJ, they're going to give Trump his passports back because these things happen. That's it. That's the story. And I almost don't believe it that the FBI accidentally went in with all of their might and ability to search for all the documents, and they accidentally took 3 of Trump's passports. Now, the DOJ is claiming that 2 of them are expired. One was Trump's active diplomatic passport. Perhaps he can't use it. I'm not sure how that works. But it could be that Donald Trump had these passports, 2 of them were expired, and they were in boxes or something. I entertained the possibility the other day. I just think it is, wow. If this is true, I think it does show absolute incompetence on the part of the FBI to go in with, however many agents they have and just not read what they were taking. Right? Is that what happened? How do you accidentally take a passport? Like, you have to open the box and look for something, right? This story implies that the FBI went in and seized items from Trump's house without checking or knew they were taking his passports. Why would they take his passports? So then, by all means, you could say, no, it was a mistake. The DOJ is offering Trump his passports back. Okay, so they knew they were taking them or they didn't check what they were taking. Give me one. Either one is bad. The big story here is about how the media has been pumping out fake news. And you guys know what really grinds my gears, fake news. And of course, we have this tweet from Norah O'Donnell, which has gone viral because this lady over at CBS claimed the FBI didn't have the passports and has not yet corrected. Well, because fake news pays. Donald Trump came out and said, they took my passports. CBS comes out and says, no, they didn't. And then all of the left and Democrat people go, oh, Donald Trump lied. He's lying. They don't have it. Then it turns out, well, they actually did. But this is the lie economy of the mainstream media. Their goal is to lie, make money, and then here's the best part. The retraction also makes money. Now, I don't think every single reporter for every single company is out there to lie to make money. But I'll tell you, having worked in these newsrooms, what's going to happen. If you work for a newsroom and you make fake news, you're going to have the hot story. The hot story that gets all the clicks. You make a story, Donald Trump kicks dog. And then, sources say, an anonymous source told us, you get 1 million clicks because all the people who hate Trump, who are deranged and just psychotic, and they're just like, I hate Trump. They eat it up. They go nuts for it. They eat it up. You get 1 million views on a story like that. Boom. You make a lot of money. 1 million views. What is that going to get you? Like $5,000 or more, depending on how you're selling ads. Some of these companies might get upwards of $40,000, depending on what their CPM is, off 1 million views. Then, once all of the crazy left and Democrats are foaming at the mouth, screaming about how Donald Trump kicks dogs, you put out a retraction. Here's the best part. The retraction's got ads on it as well. Now, the retraction's not going to get 1 million hits. But then you can say, Newsguard, we're being responsible because, well, we caught the error and corrected it. And Newsguard will be like, you're right, that is responsible. You did publish 23 fake stories, USA Today. But you know what? You eventually got rid of them even after making tons of money off the fake stories. That's the economy. That's how it works. Let's go through the big news, and then I want to talk to you about how the media is manipulating this game. I mean, Norah O'Donnell still has not corrected. And you can even see how she's trying to obfuscate it. We're also learning that if they did have these items, they would return them. Oh, okay. How about, considering we know that they had them, how about you just come out and say, okay, we were wrong. Our source was bad. But an anonymous source said so, and it was fake news. Is CBS going to get dinged by the fact checkers, by PolitiFact, by the Poynter Institute? The Gazette. Officials of the Department of Justice offered to return former President Donald Trump's 3 seized passports, according to a Monday email shared by a Trump spokesperson. In the exchange, Jay Brett, chief of the DOJ's counterintelligence and export control section, corroborated Trump's his public claim, that authorities had seized 3 passports from his Mar-a-Lago resort during a raid last week and offered to return them. Quote, we have learned that the filter agents seized 3 passports belonging to President Trump, 2 expired and 1 being his active diplomatic passport. Now, Trump was wrong. He said 1 was expired. We are returning them, and they will be ready for pickup at WFO at 2 p.m. today. I am traveling, but you can coordinate further, the email shared by Taylor Budowich, Director of Communications for Safe America, said. Budowich made the revelation in response to a tweet from CBS Evening News anchor Norah O'Donnell, who said a DOJ source informed her the department was not in possession of the passports. What's your source? A guy in the mailroom? It's like 19-year-old male intern being like, we don't have that. I heard from Jim in the kitchen. Congratulations. Earlier Monday, this is something y'all really need to understand. I often make the point about how sourcing works for these news organizations. They'll say, a source close to Nancy Pelosi's office has informed us that Donald Trump has kicked a dog. And that source close to the office is the homeless man in the alley. We didn't say he worked for the office. He's close to it. They actually say things like that. So here's what's going to happen. A DOJ source has informed us. Yeah, there's janitors at the DOJ. You can say a source at the DOJ. Well, he's literally there. He is at the DOJ. Amazing how that stuff works. And they'll say it if they can, because they can always come out and be like, look, we had a source. We won't reveal our sources. That's the other thing. I can respect protecting sources to a great degree. But you also got to understand that someone can come out and lie and be like, a source tells me Donald Trump, kicked a dog or something like that. And then when they're like, who's your source? You're like, I will never reveal it. I have integrity. And then you can just make fake news. What are you going to do about it? And then CBS, they're going to be like, oh, well, they have a source. Congratulations. And I'll tell you, these companies, they still haven't issued a fact check, a correction, a retraction, an apology. Earlier Monday, Trump went on Truth Social, said they took his passports. In the email Budowich released to the public, Brad noted that 2 of the 3 passports were expired, while his diplomatic passport remained active. Eric Swalwell argued in response to the email that the diplomatic passport did not belong to Trump in the first place. Oh, a diplomatic passport does not belong to Donald Trump. It belongs to the government. Donald Trump is not in the government, he said before farting on live camera again. All passports are property of the U.S. government, dude. Have you ever read a passport? It says this document is property of the U.S. government and must be surrendered or whatever. Eric Swalwell, by the way, farted on camera once. He said, cheat an election. And then he tried denying that it ever happened. It wasn't me. And then they claimed it was like a mug moving or something. Yeah, dude. Last Monday, FBI agents conducted a search at Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, we get it. Trump has maintained he declassified those documents and denied allegations of wrongdoing. He's also claimed that privileged material was seized in the raid and demanded they be returned. Considering the fact that they also had his passports, I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, it's probably correct. Trump is probably right on this one. So here's what they do. They're going to now say Trump lied about the passports. He said 1 was expired when in fact 2 were expired. He lied. And so what they'll say is fact check. Did the FBI seize 2 passports, 2 active passports and an expired passport from Donald Trump? False. And then it'll say, on this day, the FBI conducted a raid. Donald Trump said that blah, 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 blah. And then finally, all the way at the bottom, it'll say, while they did seize 3 passports, only 1 was expired and Donald Trump was wrong. So we rate this false. Is that aiding in anybody's understanding of what's going on in the world? No. But that's the lie economy. Bravo, Norah O'Donnell. You are a key component of the lie economy. I bet CBS, they got a ton of traction. Look how many retweets she has, 12.3K and only 7,526 replies. It's really, really quite amazing how many retweets she got on her fake news. She probably gained a lot of followers. The anti-Trump crowd probably went nuts. Woo, Trump lied, CBS confirms. And then she still has yet to correct. Taylor Budowich says this is how fake news works, folks. The Biden admin actively feeds half-truths and lies the media willingly amplifies, advancing a partisan narrative to attack Trump. Norah O'Donnell, did your source read you this email? Did you bother asking if they indeed seized the passports? I love that he included the timestamp, August 15th, 2022 at 10:49 a.m. Mountain Time. So Mountain Daylight, that's, I think, what is that? Is that 2 hours behind? Mountain Time. So what does Norah O'Donnell got? At 7:14 p.m. on August 15th, she posted this. And the other one was 6:55 p.m. She said, they do not have the passports. The email was received by Budowich at 10:50 Mountain Time. So probably around, what is that going to be, noon or 1 p.m.? Whatever. It's Mountain Time. You get the point. Well before. Now, the response to this is the media was like, oh, well, Donald Trump only claimed they seized his passports after they had already told him they did. And I'm like, how else would Donald Trump know they seized his passports until he found out they did when they said they did? It's so insane. Donald Trump is only saying it now that they're admitting to doing it. Okay. So they admitted to taking his passports. Trump then complained they took his passports. And this is how the fake news works. It's exactly how the fake news works. What's this? From Politico magazine. Opinion. Alex Jones and the lie economy. The incentive to churn out fantasy is more powerful than any defamation suit. You don't say. You don't say. Let me rag on Newsguard for one quick second. For those that haven't heard me rag on them already, went on Dan Bongino's show and ragged on them. Newsguard is being integrated into big tech platforms, and there's a big push to try and get them integrated further. And this is a rating agency that says USA Today fabricated 23 sources, basically fabricating the stories, and that they deem them to be responsible. They've also stated to me in a legal letter, because, there's a back and forth going on, that their criteria is objective and not opinion. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, bravo, good sir media, that you have an agency that's going to come out and claim you're telling the truth no matter what, even when you admit to fabricating news. You're credible. Incredible. You see, that's the power of the lie economy. It's a tit for tat. It's a pay for play. It's how the game works. New York Times can lie when they need to. Here's what you do. You create a newsroom. You fact check just enough so that you can say, see, look, we fact check all this stuff. The sky is indeed blue. Trees typically are green in the spring and then the leaves turn brown. It is all fact. And then when you want to pump out a lie, you can and say, sources say. Who are your sources? An anonymous guy who worked in a bathroom, in a mailroom? Is that what you're doing? I don't believe you. They're still running the fake news, and then they're coming out and going after Alex Jones. Alex Jones is an opinion guy. He's an opinion guy. He's been right about some pretty important stuff the media wouldn't go near. I think Jones has been fairly wrong about a lot of really important stuff, obviously. He went on Joe Rogan and talked about cell towers and chimeras and a bunch of other weird stuff. And I'll also admit, he comes on my show and he's like, we're eating cloned beef, man. And I'm like, Alex, we are not eating cloned beef. That's crazy. He's like, look it up. Google it. And I'm like, Google. And it's like, yes, you are eating cloned beef. And I was like, oh, okay, well, you were right about that one. And then he comes out and he's like, they're turning the freaking frogs gay. And he bangs the table. And everyone laughs and makes fun of him. And then you read and it's like, oh, yeah, atrazine was, I believe, was a pesticide that was interfering with the endocrine systems of frogs. And it was believed that they were making the frogs hermaphroditic or something like that. And it's like, oh, that's what he meant. So look, I think Alex Jones has his business and he sells supplements. I don't think he needs to lie in order to sell you supplements. The Epstein stuff panned out. He's got what he needs when he talks about that. And I'll put it this way, too. So as much as I rag on Newsguard, all of the articles I use for this purpose are Newsguard certified. On purpose. Because they came to me. Check this out. Newsguard came to me and said, why are you making YouTube videos claiming that Hunter Biden was doing X, Y, or Z? And then I said, because he was. And they were like, actually, that's not true. The laptop emails are unverified and may be false. And then I said, Newsguard, the source I cited for the Hunter Biden laptop story was certified by you. And they went, well, about that. That's right. You can't have it both ways. So there's a reason why I only use their own approved sources to debunk their garbage media narratives. So, of course, when they come out and try claiming that we at Timcast are irresponsible, well, I'm going to push back. And there's movement happening. It takes a while, but I will say this rather shockingly. Newsguard stated to me in response to my request that they adhere to their own policies and issue a correction. They refused to issue a correction. Newsguard refused to issue corrections as per their own policy. Amazing how that works, isn't it? And then went on to say that the criteria they release is in fact objective. And then I think that's absolutely fantastic because I'm sure there's a bunch of news organizations that would love to hear it's not in fact your opinion, but an objective standard, in which case a statement of fact, as it were. Interesting thing to claim. Here's what Politico writes. If the mere thought of Alex Jones makes your stomach burn, it doesn't. I like Alex Jones. Nobody's perfect. You got to criticize everybody. But whatever. You probably got some Pepsid AC quality relief last week when a Texas jury ordered the InfoWars demagogue pay $49.3 million punitive damages. Except it's capped in Texas, and he's not going to pay anywhere near that much. Please do your research, Politico. The case, one of several filed against Jones, accused him of repeatedly asserting on his webcast the parents were was an actor or there was some scheme. Look, Alex says he never even mentioned most of these people's names, and in Texas, in order to defame someone, you got to say who they are. But they're not public individuals, so this is why the standard was low. I think the whole case against them is absolutely insane, that he never even got a trial to defend himself. And then I hear people say things like, yeah, but that's his fault. And I'm like, is it? He's claiming he adhered to discovery and gave all the documents. He told me that personally. I was in Texas and he was like, we gave him everything. He calls his lawyer and his lawyer's like, we gave them everything. They didn't care. They found him in default. So he never even got a trial about defamation. Anyway. They say these damages and those likely look like backbreakers for Jones, but no, not any more than his banishment from YouTube, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Jones has profited, blah, blah, blah. To describe Jones as a lie economy worker is not to declare false everything he says and broadcasts. Not even his imagination veers to that polar extreme. But a review of his greatest hits attests to the low truth value of many of his comments. He has broadcasted warnings about a government weapon being used against Americans. In addition to calling the Sandy Hook massacre a staged event, he called Robert Mueller a demon and pedo, and said John McCain was the real leader of the Democratic Party. You know what's funny is, like, first of all, when he says demon, we get the point. I think to a certain degree, maybe he's saying literally, but he's just calling them like evil. He's saying they're evil. And then spread the bogus Pizzagate narrative. That I can't stand these conspiracies, man. Pizzagate was so annoying because if you took 10 seconds to do any research, you can see that a lot of the claims were fabricated. And I'm going to tell you guys this right now. They were like, pizza means boy and pasta means girl. And I was like, I wonder where that claim came from. And it was like literally fabricated on 4chan. The fact that people believed that stuff. Look, there's weird things. Agreed. I don't trust the Clintons. I hear stories about their operations in Haiti and I see stuff like that. And I'm like, I think this warrants an investigation. And you got Epstein, that stuff panned out. But that's how they distract you. And that's what I tell people. You know why the Pizzagate stuff is so annoying to me? Because Epstein was real. The story there was real. Ghislaine Maxwell, real. You need to start from point A and work your way with finding the evidence to figure out what's going on. But when people came out, you know what's remarkable is that whole thing could have derailed all of the Epstein stuff. And this is what I was trying to tell people. That is probably a distraction to make you sound crazy. And then a guy shows up and starts shooting through the floor. No, get out of here with that stuff. And then the Amy Rohrbach leak from Veritas. Boom. The floodgates were open. And also Mike Cernovich, Miami Herald, precipitating that with the release of these documents from the Virginia Giuffre affidavits. They say, as it turns out, the joke is on Jones. Discerning audiences who stumble over Jones' show turn him off, but his message excites the credulous who, if they don't fully subscribe to the man's views, want to hear more of the same. Lies are almost always more exciting and exploitable than dull truths. Fact, which is probably why CBS was so willing to run a story with a single source who turned out to be wrong. It's just so crazy. You used to need 3 sources to confirm a story. And even then it was like, that's the best we can do, and that's our standard. Now it's like, some guy said this didn't happen. Report, it's true. And then, when it's proven to be fake news, and the media now, many news outlets, particularly conservative ones, are like, the DOJ is offering back the passports, CBS still does not clarify, correct, or apologize, just like Newsguard is refusing to correct the errors on their labeling about Timcast. I will say it again. They claim to have an objective standard. They have published fake news about us and are refusing to adhere to their own corrections policy. It's not just about Newsguard, it's about PolitiFact. They all play the same dirty game where they lie. Newsguard lied. I will say it, and I will scream it to the high heavens. And you know what? We'll see what happens. But maybe I'll just publish their communications so you can see exactly what they did. And you can understand that these news rating agencies, these fact checkers, they will lie to protect their pocketbook because there's an agenda behind what they're doing. They will then come out and scream about Alex Jones. Hey, man, I think Alex Jones says crazy stuff, and I think he gets things wrong. Fine. Criticize him. Please do. But why is it that Politico, who has simultaneously reported that Ukraine did interfere in the 2016 election, and also that narrative itself is Russian disinformation, how can both be true? Politico, how did you report both things? I can't remember who reported the first story. I don't know if it was Ken Delaney, and it might have been. But the first story was that Ukrainian officials were scrambling after Donald Trump wins. It's reported in January, I believe it was January of 2017. Politico reported that they had tried interfering by releasing documents that I think went after Paul Manafort. May have been, maybe I'm wrong. But they released documents trying to jam up Trump to help Hillary. Then, like 2 years later, Politico runs another story. I believe this one might have been by Natasha Bertrand, or maybe I could be wrong. I don't have it pulled up, saying that it was a Russian narrative, fake news, propaganda that Ukraine had interfered in the election. How can you report both and then have Newsguard say you are credible? It's really quite incredible, isn't it? Yeah, I don't believe it. Right now, we're learning that the media lied about Donald Trump. Donald Trump was right. They took his passports. He got the amount of passports that were expired wrong. This is what they do. Donald Trump can be wrong, and he's wrong a lot. He really is. I'm not saying majority of the time. I don't know, but he gets a lot of things wrong. And then when he does, they say he lied. Lying is a statement of intent. And I can't report his intent because I don't know it. I can only say definitively he was wrong about the passports thing. They'll say he's a bad person. He's a liar. He's a Trump, you liar. And it's just like, you don't know. His diplomatic passport was active. What did he need to lie about? And that's how the media plays the game. They come out here and say that Jones is engaged in the lie economy, but you can't beat it in court. You can fight the lie economy with truth, but evidently you can't beat it in court. That's right. So when I go to Newsguard and I say, hey, you have a corrections policy that states you will correct if you get things wrong, I would humbly request you adhere to your own policies. You know what they said? No. They're refusing to do it. They are refusing to abide by their own policies. And then so I don't want to say too much because things are moving forward. They responded by saying that it's their protected First Amendment right to say these things, even if they are wrong. And they have a rigorous standard. And I'm like, okay. They inserted words into a quote of mine, altering the context. I made an argument. They said we have to issue a fact check on Donald Trump, otherwise we're irresponsible. I said that will require us to do a fact check on all quotes moving forward, which is an impossible standard. But sure, if you think we have to do it, we'll do it. They took out the first part, added words to my quote to make it seem like I was admitting that I knew we had published fake news. Then they put at the top of the Newsguard thing that we occasionally publish false and misleading information because out of 4,000 articles, we got one story wrong, issued a correction on it. These things happen. And we did not issue a fact check on Donald Trump. And not even a fact check, a rebuttal from his opponents. And they said that was an objectively assessed standard. Here's the best part. Tales from the Inverted World on Timcast is true stories. It's gonzo journalism. It is true stories of a journalist going around and investigating and reporting what people tell him. We don't expect every single thing every single person says to be true, but the stories themselves are true about the experiences. It's called gonzo journalism. They said that it was science fiction and fantasy. Strange, because in every single video from Tales from the Inverted World, it starts by Shane saying, the following story you're about to hear is true. Newsguard did not review a single piece of content before labeling us irresponsible. Not a single piece. Not a single one. Unless they did, and they knowingly lied. That is the standard of modern fact-checking. So, I want to make sure everybody understands what the lie economy really is. Because Newsguard, they charge money. Amazing how that works, isn't it? Now, a lot of people have said, Tim, you often shout out Newsguard. Oh, yeah, I appreciate their existence. Because, like I said, they came at me and tried claiming the Hunter Biden laptop story was fake. But by using their sources, you can't label it fake news now, can you? And so my video assessment breaking down the report showing that Hunter Biden was doing illicit things was certified by you. Brilliant how that works, isn't it? we'll see how this plays out. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.